On air, online, on the go. KY3 News at noon starts now.
With breaking news about a child's murder that continues to sicken and sadden Springfield and has shocked the Ozarks and beyond. We have team coverage on this still unfolding story. KY3's Paula Morehouse has been covering this crime since Hailey Owens was pulled into a pickup truck last night in West Springfield. And she joins us now from where a police news conference wrapped up just a few minutes ago. Paula?
Steve, a very sad ending to the abduction of Hailey Owens. The Springfield police chief says the body of a young girl was found at the suspect's house. Chief Paul Williams says he is confident it is our victim, Hailey Owens. Police were led to the suspect's house after witnesses gave a very good and detailed description of the pickup truck and the license plate number. That license plate number was linked to Craig Woods' home. Craig Woods is the suspect in all this. He is 45 years old. He is in the Greene County Jail at this hour awaiting charges. Police say they made that cursory search of his home a little after 2 in the morning, and it wasn't until they got a search warrant and then later this morning, about 15 minutes before the press conference, which was at 11 o'clock, that they could indeed say they believe this is the body of Hailey Owens. Here's a little bit more now of what Chief Williams told reporters today.
He drove up in the truck as officers were watching the residence. Investigators contacted him, had a brief discussion, and he actually agreed to accompany them to headquarters for questioning regarding this potential crime. My understanding is he refused to talk and asked for an attorney once he was at headquarters. We're conducting surveillance on a couple locations. That was one of them.
So it was the license plate that led to him?
It was.
Police right now, as I mentioned, the suspect is in the Greene County Jail. Police and FBI are working several crime scenes, including a laundromat on National and Cherry. They are not saying how that might be connected to this, but they do say they believe they're collecting evidence at that laundromat on National and Cherry. Again, a very sad ending to the abduction of Hailey Owens. We will have more. Steve.
All right, Paula Morehouse downtown, thank you. And we will go to another of those crime scenes that Paula mentioned. Around 6:30 this morning, police announced that they were investigating a house in the 1500 block of East Stanford, apparently where the victim was later found. And KY3's Shayla Patrick is there now. Shayla, what do we know?
That's right. I'm here in the 1500 block of East Stanford, where police have confirmed a body was found in this home. It's the home we're told believed to Craig Wood. He was arrested for murder late Tuesday night, and he's now in the Greene County Jail. Meanwhile, here at the scene, there's still a few police officers, detectives, and FBI agents here still processing the scene. Around 11:20, a black van did drive up to the house, and that van backed into the driveway, and it blocked us from seeing whether anything went into or came out of that van. It's a van we believe to be the coroner's van, although it was unmarked. Also, as you can see, there's a green tarp covering the home's front entryway. As police are entering and leaving the property, we've seen many of the men who were dressed in those white protective suits now in plain clothes, so that could be a sign that the investigation is progressing. Also in the neighborhood, a lot of residents were gathered around on their lawns earlier today talking with each other, all in shock that this happened so close to home. Some residents I spoke with say this is a quiet neighborhood with a lot of children, and they're disturbed at what happened, and even more are fearful for their children's safety.
It is scary, and it scares me. I have a 14-year-old that walks to the bus stop, and it makes me scared for her, knowing that his truck would pass her every morning, and and then to know that he was involved in school and being with kids all the time, it makes you stop and really think about how safe are your kids wherever they go.
So again, police have confirmed that a body was found here inside Wood's home. We're still waiting for more details as the investigation continues to progress. Again, Craig Wood was a football coach and an ISS, an in-school suspension teacher employed at the Springfield Public School District. And as we find more details, we'll bring them to you.
All right, Shayla Patrick on the crime scene for us. Thanks, Shayla. Another crime scene was found this morning, this one at the Dutch-made laundromat at National and Elm by the Missouri State Campus. Springfield Police and the FBI were seen taking evidence out of that business this morning. KY3's news producer Brian Vanderberg is there and joins us by phone with more. Brian, what do we know?
Well, Steve, what I know is that an attendant told me that an officer got here about 3:30 this morning, early this morning, and secured the building with crime scene tape until FBI agents got here. Now, when I got here this morning, there was an officer outside the building, and he told me that another Springfield police officer was inside along with several FBI agents. And what I saw them doing was I saw them throughout the building going through some what I assume is evidence. What we know now is evidence at this business, and I saw about a half dozen people in those white full-body evidence suits, and they were going through this business. And then I saw them bringing out box after box and bag after bag of what we now know is evidence from this crime, and they put that into an FBI crime scene truck. And that truck left about 10:30 this morning, and that's when the business reopened. Now, an attendant let me inside at that time, and I was able to look around, and she told me that the agents and the officer were looking at specifically one washer and two dryers early this morning. And that's what they were going through, and the evidence, as we mentioned, left the scene about 10:30 this morning.
Brian, is this evidence clothing or something else, or do we know?
Well, what the attendant told me was she thought it was clothing that the officer and the agents were looking through in that washer and dryer here. As well as DNA, we presume. Could be. Okay, Brian Vanderberg, thanks very much in Central Springfield. Suspect Craig Michael Wood was a teacher's aide, as we've heard, and a sports coach out at Pleasant View School northeast of Springfield. Several years ago, we are that he was substitute teaching in the Springfield system as well. His father was a very popular teacher at Pleasant View several years ago until he retired. KY3's Maria Neider joins us from the school now with more details. Maria?
Steve, this case has sent shockwaves through the community. News of a 10-year-old girl kidnapped and murdered just a day after we had the parental abduction near Marionville Elementary, and now a tie right here to Pleasant View Elementary and Middle School, a teacher booked and charged with murder in the disappearance and death of 10-year-old Hailey Owens. We've learned that, according to Springfield Public Schools, he was first employed by the district in August 1998 as a substitute teacher, so having access potentially to a number of schools and also working in athletics. Now, Hailey attended Westport and also attended Bowerman prior to that. I want to stress that at this point we do not know, and police do not know, of any connection between Craig Wood and the victim at this point. So they're really working to piece together that information. He was hired full-time by the Springfield Public School System in 2006, hired as an in-school suspension teacher here at Pleasant View and also as the football coach. And I've learned that he graduated from Marshfield in 1986 and was voted most outgoing. I also heard from people in the community that Craig Wood belonged to a local bluegrass band. We don't know, again, any connection to the victim, 10-year-old Hailey Owens at this point. I did see parents arriving to school after class was already in session this morning and picking up their children. Parents on high alert after these two cases back to back. Grief counselors are available at this school as well as the two other ones, Westport, where Hailey attended, as well as Bowerman, where she was a student prior to this. The question now that I'm asking the Springfield School District and waiting for a response is, was Craig Wood at school here doing anything, whether he was teaching as an in-school suspension teacher or doing any kind of coaching, any contact with students prior to Hailey's kidnapping and death? And I am waiting to hear back with them for more information on that, Steve. We do not know how long he was actually working at this school. A little later in the newscast, I'm going to give you information about a memorial fund that has been set up and also a candlelight march in her honor, Steve.
All right, Maria, thanks very much, and we'll see you just in a few minutes. Now, here is the timeline of the disappearance and murder of Hailey Owens. At 4:48 yesterday afternoon, Springfield police were called to a reported child abduction in the 3200 block of West Lombard. And then at 5 o'clock, witnesses gave police a description of the pickup truck, license plate, and the suspect. The media was alerted at 6 o'clock, and you saw that on our 6 o'clock news, and the Highway Patrol put out an Amber Alert an hour later at 7. Then, by 8:30, police had staked out the suspect's home on East Stanford, and they arrested Craig Michael Wood when he drove up in his pickup. He was booked into the jail last night at 11:30. Police got a search warrant at 2:15 this morning. Investigators went through this house between 7:30 and 8, and then the confirmation the body inside was very likely Hailey Owens was made at 10:45. And then just an hour ago, police released those details through the news media at their news conference. And we also learned early this morning that police and the FBI went to the laundromat where Brian Vanderberg was reporting near the Missouri State campus, where they collected evidence, presumably clothing that was in one of the washers or dryers. And they brought out several bags of that and took it into a crime scene truck and drove away. Still to come on KY3 News, continuing team coverage on the Hailey Owens murder. We'll be back in a moment. Northwest Missouri authorities are searching for 2 Kansas City area parents accused of murdering their baby. Matthew and Crystal Skoggs are both charged with second-degree murder. The baby was found in a concrete-filled bucket at a home in Pleasant Hill back in November. Matthew Skoggs first told police the baby was stillborn. In October, an autopsy showed the infant died of methamphetamine intoxication. Once again, it was around 6:30 this morning when Springfield police announced there was a crime scene under investigation on East Stanford. That apparently was where the victim was found, Hailey Owens, and that is where Shayla Patrick is still with us and joins us with more details. What are they doing now there, Shayla?
I'm here in the 1500 block of East Stanford, where police have confirmed a body was found inside the home of Craig Wood. Now, evidence suggests that that body belongs to Hailey Owens, but again, police have not yet officially confirmed the identity of that body. Meanwhile, here at the scene, there's still a few cops and detectives and FBI agents outside the home of Craig Wood, where he was arrested for murder late Tuesday night and now sits in the Greene County Jail. You can see there's a green tarp over the home's front entryway and a couple detectives scattered around, still continuing to process the scene. Now, around 11:20, there was a black van believed to be a coroner's van that drove back into the house. We're blocked from seeing whether anything went into or came out of that van. It stayed at the home for about 5 to 10 minutes and then left. Also, many of the men who were dressed in those white protective suits are now in plain clothes, so that could be evidence that the investigation is progressing. A lot of neighbors were gathered on their front lawns, talking to each other and all in shock, watching as detectives and police continue to process the scene. Some residents I spoke with say this is a quiet neighborhood with a lot of kids, and they're disturbed at what happened and even more fearful for their children's safety.
Very taken aback, of course. Lots of families and such in this neighborhood. We see the man drive by every morning in his little Ford Ranger, so he passes all the neighborhood kids on their way to the bus every day. Makes it a little nerve-wracking when you have children around, you know.
Wood worked for Springfield Public Schools for 15 years as a coach and an in-school suspension supervisor. He's now in the Greene County Jail. We'll be constantly updating our website, KY3.com, with the latest information and details, as well as continuing coverage on this throughout the day. Reporting in Springfield, Shayla Patrick, KY3 News.
All right, Shayla, thanks very much. In a moment, we'll be turning to weather, April temperatures, but February showers. Abby's latest forecast in a moment, and what's ahead. Well, around the region, it looks like it's getting ready to rain.
It does, yeah. I think we're going to have to wait several more hours. Likely it's going to be after dark when we start to see those first showers arrive, and even some thunderstorms in the forecast tonight.
But we need it.
We do need it desperately. It looks like we could get about 1/4 of an inch. That's probably best case scenario.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, not as much as we need. Yeah, a sample. That's a good word for it. We do have some clouds out there. We've had them around since this morning. They started as just those high thin clouds, and we're starting to see them thicken up a little bit across the area. Temperatures are going to continue to be mild today. Notice that we are already in the 50s in most locations, close to 60 in north central Arkansas. It's 59 right now in Mountain Home and 54 the current temperature in Camdenton. Checking in at 57 degrees in Springfield right now. So the clouds are going to hold temperatures back just a bit from what we experienced yesterday. Here's a look at the satellite and radar composite image. Those clouds increasing all evening, and this big batch of clouds will continue to move in. Now, the area that we're watching for later this evening is going to be out here in Kansas. We're going to watch for our storms to begin over there, and they will roll east into the Ozarks. As I mentioned, it's not going yet. We will have to wait until the after dark hours tonight. It's possible that we see some show up by this evening, though. There is a slight risk for some severe weather with this system. I'm really not anticipating a severe weather outbreak, and we are not talking about tornadoes with this system. The threat here, hail because we have some very cold air in the upper levels of the atmosphere. We could get some storms that are hailers, and that's going to be our north and west counties that concern is for. It happens later on tonight, and then tomorrow as the storm system progresses, it'll move east of the area, and we could get some nice rainfall out of it. So that'll be the good news out of all of this. Day planner for today, what time can you expect those rain showers to show up? Well, I think we're going to make it through the afternoon with no rain on the radar, but temperatures likely making it into the 60s. It's just after sunset that we start to see our first hints of some rain or even a thunderstorm or two popping up, mainly in our northwest counties, and then it gets very windy behind that front. So here's the setup. The warm front lifts through tonight. This means some incredibly warm air for us overnight tonight as the main center of low pressure moves through. That will bring us some rain in the forecast on Thursday, and things are going to look pretty nice. Temperatures overnight tonight are only going to fall back into the 50s. In fact, we warm up overnight tonight. High temps still making it into the low 60s this afternoon. Low temps tonight, as I mentioned, they're going to be very mild, Steve. We are looking at 50s for lows tonight after enjoying some 60s this afternoon. And then there is a cool down at the end of the work week. That's, of course, behind the rain tomorrow.
All right, Abby, thanks very much. We'll see you a little later when we come back, a wrap up of what we know about the Hailey Owens murder case. And back to our top story. Just an hour ago, Springfield police wrapped up a news conference explaining what they did and what they know and what led to the arrest of the one and only suspect in Hailey Owens' murder. KY3's Paula Morehouse is downtown and covering this for us. Paula, by all indications, are they saying but not exactly saying this was random?
Are they saying but not? I'm sorry, Steve, I didn't hear you.
Whether this is random or not.
They really do believe this is random, Steve, and all indications from the very first witnesses to what the mother said to what the police have said, it is random, which is highly unusual. But they don't believe the suspect knew the victim or the victim's family. And right now, that suspect is sitting in the Greene County Jail across the street from me, Craig Wood, awaiting charges to be filed by the county prosecutor. That news conference a short time ago, the Springfield police chief said he is confident that the body found in the suspect's home is that of 10-year-old Hailey Owens, an outcome none of us wanted to see happen, but did happen. Police said they were led to the suspect's house by some very good witnesses. Those witnesses, and I had a chance to speak to them yesterday, they saw everything that happened. They got the license plate number, a description of the person, and a description of the truck that we searched for all night. That license plate led them to where the suspect's residence is, with a home of where the suspect lives, and led them ultimately to the body of Hailey Owens. As I mentioned a little earlier, 3 crime scenes are actually being processed, Steve, where the little girl was abducted, the suspect's home, and then a laundromat on National Street. So still at this hour, even though they believe this is the only suspect, police and FBI are collecting evidence, Steve.
Apparently, because of 3 crime scenes, there's quite a bit of evidence that we could surmise from that. Okay. Paula Morehouse live downtown with us on the arrest of Craig Wood and Hailey Owens' murder. And we'll be back in a moment. Before we go, let's go back to Maria Neider, who is at Pleasant View School, where Craig Wood was a teacher's aide and involved with sports programs. There's been a community-wide outcry of sympathy for this little girl. And Maria, do we have details about a memorial fund?
We do. Actually, anyone can make a contribution to the Memorial Fund at any Empire Bank branch. You can make contributions to the Hailey Owens Memorial Fund to help the family with funeral expenses. There is also a fundraiser that will be happening at Culver's, all of the Culver's in Springfield. There was a family connection, I'm told, there, and a percentage of the sales on Monday will go toward that Memorial Fund. In just a few hours, parents are going to be picking up their children from here. I want to emphasize that at this point, 45-year-old Craig Wood has been suspended, obviously, from his duties as an in-school suspension teacher here and football coach at Pleasant View Elementary and Middle School. And according to Springfield Public Schools, they just sent out a new release wanting to emphasize that no employee is hired and allowed near students until they have cleared a thorough background check, Steve.
All right, Maria Neider for us at Pleasant View. Thanks very much. We invite you to keep up with this story with us on KY3News.com for the latest details, also on Facebook and Twitter as well for any updates. Until then, we'll see you coming up on KY3 News at 5, 6, and 10. Thanks for watching.